She asked why I keep looking at her. I swear I was just curious. The stars blurred into streaks of white fire. Ethan Kane gripped the controls, his knuckles pale, as the experimental NASA ship screamed through the void. Alarms blared, a piercing wail that drowned his ragged breaths. The cockpit shook, metal, groaning under stress. Sparks erupted from the console, stinging his face. "Come on, hold together," he muttered, voice tight. His heart pounded, echoing the thrum of the failing engines. Then a flash of violet light swallowed everything. Ethan's eyes snapped open. Pain seared his chest, each breath a struggle. Against air that burned like molten steel, he lay sprawled in a forest, the ground soft with glowing moss. Trees towered above, their leaves shimmering like fractured LED panels, casting a neon blue haze. A faint chime, like crystal glasses clinking, filled the air. The scent of scorched metal and sharp, floral tang choked him. He coughed, wincing as his lungs protested. Where was he? He pushed himself up, muscles aching, and stumbled toward the wreckage of his ship. The hull was a twisted ruin, half buried in luminous vines that pulsed with light. His boots sank into the moss, each step releasing a soft hum. Ethan's pulse raced. This wasn't Earth. This wasn't anywhere he knew. He glanced at the sky, expecting stars, but saw only swirling spirals of violet and gold. Spiral stars, twisting like a cosmic dance. "Dad, you never warned me about this," he whispered, a bitter edge to his voice. His father, a disgraced astronaut, had vanished on a mission cloaked in secrecy. Ethan had sworn to outshine that failure, to prove himself. Now, stranded on an alien world, that vow felt hollow. He shook his head, forcing focus. Survival first. He reached the ship, its cockpit cracked open like an egg. The control panel flickered, casting erratic shadows. Ethan's fingers brushed the core, a sleek, cylindrical device pulsing with faint green light. The bioenergy core, NASA's latest prototype, still hummed softly. He frowned. It wasn't just tech. It looked alive, veins of light threading through it like blood vessels. A strange symbol glowed on its surface, angular and unfamiliar. Not human. Not NASA. Ethan tapped the comms, but static hissed back. A low growl that set his teeth on edge. "Command, this is Kane. Do you copy?" Silence. He tried again, voice rising. "Anyone out there?" Nothing but the forest's eerie chime answered. His stomach twisted. No signal, no backup. He was alone. A sharp pain stabbed his lungs. He doubled over, coughing violently. The air wasn't just heavy. It was toxic, laced with glowing pollen. That stung his eyes. His vision blurred, the forest tilting. He staggered, grabbing a tree for support. Its bark pulsed under his fingers, warm and thrumming like a heartbeat. "What is this place?" he gasped, voice hoarse. He stumbled forward, desperate for clean air. But the ground betrayed him. A root, glowing like molten sapphire, snaked around his ankle. It tightened, pulling him toward a pit of writhing, luminous vines. Ethan's heart lurched. He clawed at the moss, fingers slipping as the vines hissed. A hungry, mechanical sound. A flash of silver cut through the haze. A figure emerged, swift and silent, with skin that gleamed like polished chrome. Her eyes burned, twin pools of plasma blue, locking onto his. She moved with lethal grace, a blade of light in her hand slicing through the vines. They recoiled, shrieking, and Ethan fell free, gasping. She stood over him, her presence commanding, her form unadorned yet fierce. Her voice, sharp and melodic, sliced the air. "You don't belong here, human. Your ship bears the mark of Seraph." She tilted her head, eyes narrowing. "Who are you, and why have you brought their curse to Xythera?" Ethan froze, his breath catching. "Seraph? Xythera?" Her words were a riddle, but her gaze was a warning. The forest's chime grew louder, almost mocking. Somewhere, a low hum stirred the air, like engines waking. What had he crashed into? Ethan's chest heaved, each breath a battle against the stinging air of Xythera. The woman stood before him, her silver skin catching the forest's neon glow. Her plasma blue eyes bored into him, sharp and unyielding, like a predator sizing up prey. The blade of light in her hand flickered out, leaving a faint hum that echoed the forest's crystalline chime. Vines lay severed at her feet, their glow fading like dying embers. Ethan scrambled to his knees, heart pounding, his mind racing to process her words. Sarath, Xythera, curse. Who are you? He rasped, voice rough from coughing. Pollen burned his throat, and his vision wavered. She stepped closer, her movements fluid, almost too perfect. I am Lyra Vera, scientist of the Lumen. Her voice carried a crisp edge, each word precise, yet tinged with an accent that felt oddly familiar, like a radio broadcast from old Earth. You're dying, human. The air here rejects you. Ethan's lungs tightened, proving her point. He clutched his chest, fighting dizziness. Help me, he said, hating the desperation in his tone. Lyra knelt, her eyes scanning him like a diagnostic tool. From a pouch, at her waist, she produced a small, translucent mask, its surface threaded with glowing filaments. Breathe through this, she said, pressing it to his face. The mask hummed softly, cool against his skin, filtering the air into something clean, almost sweet. Ethan inhaled deeply, relief flooding his body. The dizziness faded, though his pulse still raced. How do you speak English? He asked, steadying himself against a tree. Its bark pulsed, warm and alive, sending a shiver up his arm. Lyra's lips curved, a faint smirk. Your signals, movies, music, chatter, drift across the stars. My tech translates them. She tapped a device woven into her wrist, a lattice of light that pulsed like a heartbeat. I've studied your kind, Ethan Kane. He stiffened. How do you know my name? Your ship's beacon, she said, glancing toward the wreckage. It screams your identity to anyone listening, and it carries the mark of Serath, dangerous allies for a human. Serath. I don't know what that is, Ethan snapped, frustration rising. I'm a pilot, not a conspirator. The forest's shine grew sharper as if mocking his confusion. He gestured at the wreckage. That's NASA tech. Earth tech. Nothing alien. Lyra's eyes narrowed. She strode to the ship, her fingers tracing the bioenergy core's glowing surface. The symbol Ethan had noticed, a jagged angular rune, flared under her touch. This is no Earth toy, she said, voice low. It's a hybrid, laced with Sarath bioenergy. The same power that fuels Xythera. Bioenergy? Ethan echoed, stepping closer. The core's green light pulsed faster, like it sensed her. Lyra turned, her expression grim. A force binding. Life and machine. It flows through our trees, our bodies, our tech. But it demands a price. Strength, memory, even sanity. She held up the star core crystal, a fist-sized gem that shimmered with violet light. This stores it, channels it. Your core mimics that power. It could awaken the Soul Forge. Ethan's stomach dropped. Soul Forge? What's that? Lyra's gaze darkened. A weapon of Zorin, my enemy. It devours willing souls to forge a god. Only my blood can ignite it, and only in the spiral stars. Cycle. She pointed to the sky, where violet swirls pulsed. Your ship could be its key, or its undoing. Before Ethan could respond, a low growl shook the forest. Metal clanked in the distance, a rhythmic thud like war drums. Lyra's hand shot to her wrist, the lattice flaring red. Zorin's scouts, she hissed. They've tracked your beacon. Ethan's pulse spiked. We need to move. Lyra grabbed his arm, her grip iron strong. Follow me, human, or die here. She sprinted into the forest, her silver form blending with the glowing trees. Ethan stumbled after her, the mask humming against his face. The clanking grew louder, joined by a high-pitched whine that set his teeth on edge. The star-core crystal in Lyra's hand flared, casting wild shadows. What was she running from? And what did his ship have to do with it? Ethan's boots sank into the glowing moss, each step a fight against Xythera's alien terrain. The forest's neon-blue trees pulsed, their crystalline chime now a frantic hum, as if sensing danger. Lyra Vera led the way, her silver skin catching flickers of light, her movements swift and silent. The star-core crystal in her hand glowed violet, casting jagged shadows that danced like specters. Behind them, the clank of Zorin's scouts grew louder, a relentless march of metal and menace. Ethan's chest tightened, the mask Lyra gave him humming softly, filtering the toxic air. His mind churned. Soul Forge, Seraph, bioenergy. What had he stumbled into? Keep up, human, Lyra snapped, her voice sharp but low, slicing through the forest's din. She darted into a narrow crevice where jagged cliffs of crystal loomed, their surfaces refracting light into a dazzling purple haze. Ethan followed, scraping his arm against a crystal edge. It vibrated, sending a low buzz through his bones. Inside the cave, the air cooled, heavy with the scent of ozone and wet stone. Crystal stalactites hung like chandeliers, their faint glow illuminating Lyra's tense expression. She pressed her wrist device, and a lattice of light projected a map of tunnels, pulsing red where Zoran's scouts approached. "We're not safe yet," she said, her plasma blue eyes flicking to Ethan. "Your ship's beacon drew them, its screaming secrets." Ethan leaned against a crystal wall, its warmth unsettling. What secrets? That core's NASA tech. Experimental, sure, but human. His voice wavered, betraying doubt. The symbol on the bioenergy core, angular, alien, haunted him. Lyra's smirk was cold. Human? Naive. She knelt, pulling a Wex small scanner from her pouch. It hummed, bathing the cave in green light as she aimed it at Ethan's chest, where his flight suit pocket held a data chip from the ship. "Your core uses Sarath bioenergy, a relic of their lost empire. Zoran betrayed Earth to steal it, centuries ago." "Earth?" Ethan's jaw tightened. "You're saying my people worked with yours?" Lyra nodded, her fingers dancing over the scanner. Earth and Zoran allied against Sarath, a race of creators turned tyrants. Their bioenergy bound life to machine, but their hunger for power birthed the eternal void, a force beyond our galaxy. Her voice dropped, heavy with dread. "We won, but Zoran turned on Earth, craving the Soul Forge, a weapon to rival gods." Ethan's mind reeled. He fumbled for the data chip, its surface etched with his father's initials. "My dad," he mentioned spiral lights before he disappeared. "Was he here?" His voice cracked, the old wound of his father's failure raw. Lyra's scanner beeped, projecting a hologram, a fragment of a log from Ethan's ship. His father's voice, grainy but unmistakable, filled the cave. "The spiral stars hide. A gift. For Sarath. Kane out." The hologram flickered, then died. Ethan's breath caught. His father had been on Xythera. "Your father carried their mark," Lyra said, her gaze softening for a moment. "Like you." She pointed to the chip, where the same Sarath rune glowed faintly. "But there's more. The eternal void isn't gone. It whispers through the Soul Forge, and Zoran listens." A distant explosion rattled the cave, crystal shards tinkling to the ground. Lyra's wrist device flashed red, the map showing Zoran's scouts closing in. "They want the Starcore crystal," she said, clutching the gem. "It holds my blood's power, enough to ignite the Soul Forge, or destroy it." Ethan's pulse hammered. "Destroy it? How?" Lyra stood, her expression grim. "With your core. But it's a gamble. Success, and Zoran falls. Failure, and the void wakes." Before Ethan could answer, a metallic screech tore through the cave. Crystal walls cracked, dust swirling. Lyra grabbed his arm, pulling him deeper into the tunnels. "Run, human." As they fled, the Starcore crystal flared, its light painting the walls with visions, a shadowy entity, vast and formless, swallowing stars. The eternal void. Varkis's voice boomed from the darkness, cold and commanding. "Princess, you carry the void's key." What had Ethan's father left behind, and why did it call to the stars? The tunnel's crystal walls pulsed, casting violet light across Ethan Kane's face as he ran. His boots pounded the glowing moss, each step echoing in the narrow passage. Lyra Vera led the way, her silver skin shimmering. The Starcore crystal clutched tightly in her hand, its glow flared with every distant explosion. As if alive, the air buzzed with ozone, sharp and electric, mingling with the faint chime of Xythera's forest beyond. Ethan's mask hummed, filtering the toxic pollen, but his lungs still ached. Varkis's voice lingered in his mind, a chilling promise. "Princess, you carry the void's key." Lyra stopped abruptly, her plasma blue eyes scanning a cavern, where stalactites dripped like molten glass. The ceiling sparkled, reflecting the spiral stars visible through a jagged skylight. Their violet swirls twisted, hypnotic and vast. She pressed her wrist device, its lattice dimming as it scanned. For Zoran scouts were clear, she said, her voice low, edged with strain. For now. Ethan leaned against a crystal pillar, its warmth seeping through his torn flight suit. That voice, Varkas, he's after your crystal. Why? His breath steadied, but his mind raced. His father's log, the Seraph rune, the soul forge. It was too much, too fast. Lyra's gaze softened, but her posture stayed rigid, like a warrior bracing for battle. The Starcore crystal holds my bioenergy, she said, raising the gem. It shimmered, threads of light weaving inside like a trapped storm. It's tied to my blood, my emotions. Only I can ignite the soul forge, or break it, but using it. She hesitated, her fingers tightening around the crystal. It steals pieces of me, strength, memories, maybe my soul. Ethan's chest tightened. That's what powers this place. Bioenergy. He glanced at the cavern, its walls throbbing with faint light. It's in everything. Trees, tech, you. Lyra nodded, stepping closer. Her scent, like rain and metal, cut through the ozone. Bioenergy binds life to Xythera. It flows through us, but it demands sacrifice. The more you draw, the more it takes. Her eyes met his, intense, almost pleading. Your ship's core mimics it. That's why Zoran wants you. Ethan's hand brushed the data chip in his pocket, his father's initials etched into its surface. My dad knew something about this. He was here, wasn't he? His voice cracked, raw with hope and dread. Lyra knelt beside him, her fingers grazing his arm. The touch sent a jolt through him, warm and electric. Maybe, she said softly, the spiral stars hold secrets. They've guided the lumen for centuries. She pointed to the skylight, where the stars pulsed. We believe they carry souls to the cosmos. But the eternal void, it devours them. Ethan's breath hitched. The void. Varkas mentioned it. What is it? Lyra's expression darkened. A shadow beyond our galaxy. It corrupted Serath, drove Zoran to build the soul forge. I think it's whispering again. Through your NASA. She stood, her voice hardening. If they control the soul forge, both our worlds burn. A low hum vibrated the cavern, followed by a sharp crack. Ethan's pulse spiked. They're close, he said, grabbing Lyra's arm. We need to move. But Lyra didn't budge. She turned, her eyes locking onto his, and pressed the Starcore crystal into his hand. It pulsed, warm and heavy, sending a strange warmth through his veins. If I fall, this will guide you to me, she said. Her voice fierce yet fragile. Promise you'll protect it, Ethan, he swallowed, nodding. I promise. The crystal flared, and for a fleeting moment, Ethan felt her fear, her resolve, a flicker of something deeper. Their eyes held, the spiral stars above casting a glow that made her silver skin radiant. Then, a metallic screech tore through the cavern. Crystal shards rained down, the air thick with dust. Lyra spun, her wrist device blazing red. Zoran, she hissed. Ethan gripped the crystal, its light pulsing wildly. A shadowy form flickered in its depths, a vast writhing void swallowing stars. What had Lyra just given him? And what was coming for them? Dust swirled in the cavern, stinging Ethan Kane's eyes as he crouched behind a crystal stalagmite. The Starcore crystal pulsed in his hand, its violet glow casting eerie shadows that danced across Lyra Vera's silver skin. Her plasma blue eyes flicked to her wrist device, its lattice flashing red with Zoran's approach. The air crackled with ozone, the faint chime of Xythera's crystals now drowned by a low, menacing hum. Like a swarm of steel wasps closing in, Ethan's mask hummed against his face, filtering the toxic air, but his heart hammered. Lyra's words echoed in his mind. If they control the soul forge, both our worlds burn. Stay low, Lyra whispered, her voice sharp, slicing through the tension. She drew a blade of light from her belt, its edge humming like a struck tuning fork. Zoran's scouts are fast, lethal. Ethan nodded, gripping the crystal tighter. Its warmth seeped into his palm, almost alive. He glanced at the cavern's skylight, where the spiral stars swirled, their violet light pulsing like a cosmic heartbeat. "How do we get out?" he asked, his voice steady despite the fear gnawing at him. Lyra's lips pressed thin. "We don't, not yet." She tapped her wrist, projecting a hologram of the forest above. Red dots swarmed the map, Zoran's scouts. "Converging. Your ship's core is the problem. It's broadcasting a bioenergy signal. They tracked it." Ethan's stomach dropped. He fumbled for the data chip in his pocket, his father's initials glinting faintly. "The bioenergy core? It's just a prototype. NASA said it was for deep space travel." But doubt crept in. The core's glowing veins, the Serath rune, they weren't human tech. Lyra's eyes narrowed, her smirk cold. "Your NASA lies." She knelt, pulling a scanner from her pouch. It bathed the crystal in green light, revealing threads of energy weaving inside. "This core integrates Serath bioenergy, designed to sync with the Soul Forge. It's no accident. You're here." Before Ethan could argue, a sharp crack split the air. The cavern shook, crystal shards clattering to the ground. A metallic voice blared through the tunnel, cold and commanding. "Princess Vera, surrender the crystal." "Varkis." Ethan's pulse spiked, the name alone carrying weight. Lyra grabbed Ethan's arm, pulling him toward a side passage. "Move," she hissed. They sprinted, the tunnel's walls pulsing faster, as if Xythera itself sensed the threat. The clank of Zoran drones echoed behind, their whirring blades slicing the air. Ethan's mind raced. "If my core's tied to the Soul Forge, why didn't NASA tell me?" His voice was tight, anger mixing with betrayal. His father's failure, NASA's secrecy. It all felt connected. Lyra glanced back, her expression grim. "Your leaders are puppets. The eternal void whispers through the Soul Forge, manipulating Zoran. Maybe NASA too." She ducked under a low crystal arch, her blade ready. "The Soul Forge needs willing souls and royal blood. Mine, your core, could amplify it, or destroy it." They reached a dead end, a wall of shimmering crystal blocking their path. Ethan's breath hitched, the drone's hum grew louder, a relentless buzz. Then a new sound cut through, a crackling static from his suit's comms. "Kane, this is command." A NASA voice barked, distorted but urgent. "You've activated the void. Send coordinates now or you're a traitor." Ethan froze, his blood running cold. Traitor, he'd followed orders, flown their ship. "They're lying," he growled, but doubt gnawed at him. Was NASA compromised? Lyra spun, her blade flaring. No time. She slammed her fist against the crystal wall, sending a pulse of bioenergy through it. The wall cracked, revealing a narrow exit. But drones burst into the cavern, their red optics locking onto them. Lyra shoved Ethan forward, her blade slashing a drone in half. Sparks flew, metal screeching. She turned, facing the swarm, her silver form radiant against the crystal glow. "Go, Ethan," she shouted, her voice fierce. "Protect the crystal." Ethan stumbled toward the exit, the star core crystal burning in his hand. A drone lunged, and Lyra fell, her cry echoing. Something moved in the shadows beyond. Friend or foe? Ethan Kane stumbled through the crystal tunnel, his boots slipping on glowing moss. The star core crystal burned in his grip, its violet light pulsing like a frantic heartbeat. Behind him, Lyra's cry echoed, sharp and desperate, as Zoran drones screeched, their blades slicing the air. The cavern's ozone tang mixed with the acrid sting of scorched metal, choking his senses despite the mask humming against his face. His chest heaved, guilt clawing at him. She told me to run, he thought. But leaving her felt like betrayal. The tunnel walls shimmered, their crystalline chime now a frantic wail, as if Xythera mourned her fall. A shadow loomed ahead, blocking the exit. Ethan froze, raising the crystal like a weapon, its glow casting jagged light. The figures stepped forward, a towering man with skin laced in metallic filaments, glinting like steel veins. His eyes burned red, optics embedded in a face scarred by battle. A blade of energy hummed in his hand, its edge crackling. "Drop the crystal, human," he growled, his voice deep, resonant, like a war drum. Ethan's pulse raced. "Who are you?" he demanded, stepping back. The drone's screeches grew faint, but Lyra's fate gnawed at him. The man tilted his head, optics narrowing. Kael Drabos, once of Zorin. His tone carried weight, a mix of pride and shame. You're Ethan Kane. The princess trusts you, but I don't. He lowered his blade slightly, gesturing to the crystal. That's her life. Hand it over, or I leave you to the drones. Ethan's grip tightened. Lyra's fighting back there. We need to help her. His voice cracked, raw with urgency. The crystal flared, and for a moment he felt her. A faint pulse of fear. Defiance. She was alive. Kael's optics flickered, a hint of respect in his gaze. She's stronger than you know. But Zorin's closing in. He turned, motioning Ethan to follow. Come. The rebels will decide your worth. They emerged into a hidden grove where trees pulsed with bioenergy, their leaves casting a neon green glow. The air vibrated with a low hum, like a distant engine. Kael led Ethan to a concealed hatch, its surface etched with lumen runes. Inside, a network of tunnels buzzed with activity. Rebels in sleek, bioenergy-laced armor, their voices a tense murmur. Ethan's eyes darted, taking in their weapons, glowing with the same light as Lyra's blade. Kael stopped at a holotable, its surface projecting Xythera's terrain. Zorin betrayed Earth centuries ago, he said, his voice heavy. We allied against Serath, creators of bioenergy. They fell, but Zorin stole their tech, built the Soulforge to rival gods. He tapped the table, showing a schematic of the Soulforge, a towering spire, pulsing with souls. Varkis, my brother, believes it saves us from the eternal void. Ethan's breath caught. Your brother. The weight of Kael's words sank in. Varkis wasn't just a warlord, he was family, torn by belief. Kael's optics dimmed. We chose different paths. I saw the Soulforge kill our people, drain their souls. Varkis sees salvation. He leaned closer, voice low. Your ship's core could tip the balance. Lyra thinks you're the key. Ethan's hand brushed the data, chip in his pocket, his father's initials glinting. Lyra. She's still out there. He held up the star core crystal, its light flickering. A faint pulse stirred within. Lyra's presence, weak but fighting. She's hacking the Soulforge. We have to move. Kael's jaw tightened. The phalanx is a death trap. Only one knows its secrets. He turned, his blade humming softly. Mira, Lumen Elder, she's with the rebels. A sharp crack echoed from the tunnels, followed by a rebel shout. Zorin's breached the outer defenses. The holotable flared red, showing drones swarming. Ethan's heart lurched. The crystal pulsed, Lyra's signal fading. Kael grabbed his arm, optics blazing. Prove your worth or trust, human. The grove trembled, leaves raining down, like glowing embers. Who was Mira, and what did she know about Lyra's fight? Ethan Kane's boots echoed in the rebel tunnels, the air thick with the tang of ozone and sweat. The star core crystal pulsed in his hand, its violet light dimming, as if Lyra's life was slipping away. Kael Drabos marched ahead, his metallic frame glinting under the tunnel's bioenergy glow. The walls hummed, etched with lumen runes that shimmered like liquid starlight. Distant explosions rumbled, Zorin's drones pressing closer. Ethan's mask filtered the air, but his chest tightened with every flicker of the crystal. Lyra was out there, fighting, maybe dying. He gripped the data chip in his pocket, his father's initials a silent anchor. Hold on, Lyra. Kael stopped at a cavern lit by floating orbs, their green light casting shadows over a dozen rebels. A woman stepped forward, her skin dappled with glowing patterns like constellations on midnight. Her eyes, sharp and amber, locked onto Ethan. Zinnia, she said, her voice smooth but wary, like a blade half-drawn. You're the human Lyra trusts. Why? She gestured to the crystal, its faint pulse reflecting in her gaze. Ethan squared his shoulders, meeting her stare. I'm here to save her. That's enough. His voice was firm, but doubt gnawed at him. NASA's betrayal, his father's secrets. Could he trust anyone? Zinnia's lips twitched, almost a smile. Bold words. She led him to a stone altar, where rebels gathered for the soul release ritual. Glowing lanterns hovered, each a tribute to souls lost to the soul fort. The lumen honor the fallen, Zinnia said, her tone reverent. We believe the spiral stars carry them to eternity. Zoran steals that peace. Ethan's eyes traced the lanterns, their light soft against the cavern's crystalline home. Lyra's one of you, he said, the crystal warming in his hand. She's fighting for this. Zinnia nodded, her patterns flaring briefly. My father was Lumen, a scientist like Lyra. Zoran killed him and her family for defying the we. Soulforge. Her voice hardened, edged with pain. Lyra's our heart, but you're an outsider. Prove you're not a liability. Kale grunted, his energy blade flickering. He's got the core, he said, optics glinting. That's enough for now. He shoved Ethan toward a hollow table, its map showing Zoran's forces circling the tunnels. Zinnia, show him the ritual. He needs to understand. Zinnia raised a hand, and the lanterns pulsed, casting a vision. A sky of spiral stars, souls drifting upward in streams of light. The cavern's chimes swelled, a haunting melody. Ethan's breath caught. His father's voice echoed in his mind. The spiral lights hide a gift. Had he seen this? A rebel shout broke the moment. Signal breach. The hollow table flared, showing a spike from Ethan's ship core, broadcasting to Zoran. Ethan's stomach dropped. I didn't touch it, he said, voice rising. Kale's optics narrowed. Your core's a beacon, human. You led them here. He stepped closer, blade humming, his metallic frame towering. Zinnia's patterns dimmed, her eyes scanning the rebels. Wait, she said, voice low. It's not him. She grabbed a scanner, its lights sweeping the cavern. A young rebel. Torin flinched, his hands trembling. The scanner beeped, locking onto a hidden device in his gear. Torin's been signaling Zoran, Zinnia hissed, her voice venomous. He's a traitor. Torin bolted, but Zinnia's hand flared, conjuring a dazzling ictus of light that pinned him to the wall. Rebels gasped, their weapons humming. Ethan's pulse raced, the star core crystal flickering in sync with his fear. Why Torin? Zinnia demanded, her patterns blazing. Torin's eyes darted, wild. They have my sister, he choked out. Vargas promised. A deafening explosion rocked the cavern, crystal shards raining down. The hollow table blinked. Out! Red warnings flooding the map. Kale grabbed Ethan's arm, optics blazing. Zoran's here, the star core crystal pulsed, Lyra's signal barely a whisper. Zinnia's gaze locked onto Ethan, fierce and unyielding. Who had Torin betrayed? And what did Zoran know about Lyra? The cavern shook, crystal dust swirling like a neon storm. Ethan Kane gripped the star core crystal, its violet pulse faint, a fragile tether to Lyra Vera. Zinnia's ictus pinned Torin to the wall, her glowing patterns flaring with fury. The traitor's eyes darted, sweat beading on his brow, as rebels aimed their bioenergy weapons, their hums sharp in the tense air. Kale Dravos loomed nearby, his energy blade crackling, optics burning red. The hollow table flickered. Red alerts, mapping Zoran's drones breaching the tunnels. Ethan's mask filtered the ozone-heavy air, but his heart pounded. Torin's betrayal had brought death to their door. Why Torin? Zinnia's voice was a blade cutting through the caverns. Crystalline chime, her amber eyes blazed, her hands steady as the ictus tightened. You were one of us, Torin choked, his voice breaking. Vargas has my sister. He swore she'd live if I... He faltered, glancing at Ethan. Your ship's core. It's what they want. I had no choice. Ethan's stomach twisted. My core. He stepped forward, the crystal warming in his hand. You sold us out for that? Anger surged, but doubt crept in. NASA's lies, his father's secrets. Torin's words hit too close. Kale's blade flared, inches from Torin's throat. You led my brother to us, he growled, his metallic frame tense. Vargas will burn this world for that core. His optics flickered, a mix of rage and pain. Ethan caught it. Kale's bond with Vargas ran deep, a wound that hadn't healed. Zinnia's patterns dimmed, her ictus wavering. I trusted you, she said, voice low, almost a whisper. I loved Vargas once too. He chose the soul forge over me. Her eyes met Ethan's, a flicker of shared loss. Don't make Torin's mistake, human. A sharp crack echoed. The cavern trembling. Rebels shouted, scrambling to reinforce the tunnel entrances. Ethan's pulse spiked. "We're wasting time," he said, voice urgent. "Lyra's out there, hacking the soul forge. We need to move." The crystal pulsed, her signal a fading whisper. Kale rounded on him, optics narrowing. "You're the liability," he snapped, blade humming. "Your core brought this. You're still NASA's dog, aren't you?" His words stung, echoing Ethan's own doubts about his loyalty. Ethan's jaw clenched. "I'm here for Lyra, not Earth." He stepped closer, meeting Kale's gaze. "You want to fight me? Do it after we save her." His voice was steady, but his hands shook, the crystal's warmth urging him on. The cavern shook again, a low boom rattling the crystals. Xythera released Torin, who slumped, sobbing. "Lock him up," she ordered a rebel, her voice cold. She turned to Ethan, patterns flaring. "Prove you're not like him." Kale lowered his blade, optics flickering with reluctant respect. "Fine," he grunted, "but you're my responsibility." He shoved Ethan toward the hollow table, now glitching, with Zoran's advance. "Xythera, get the core's specs. We need a plan." Xythera nodded, pulling a scanner. Its green light swept Ethan's data chip, projecting a schematic of the bioenergy core. "It's a hybrid," she said, voice tight. Sarath tech fused with human. It could overload the soul forge, or amplify it. Her eyes flicked to Ethan. "Your call, Kane." Before he could answer, a rebel burst in, armor scorched. Drones broke through, he shouted. The hollow table flared, showing Zoran's forces flooding the tunnels. Ethan's heart lurched, the star core crystal flickered. Lyra's signal nearly gone. Kyle grabbed his arm, optics blazing. "We fight now, or we die." He turned to Xythera. "Get Mira, she knows the phalanx." Zinnia's patterns pulsed, her voice steady. "Mira's with the elders. I'll bring her." She sprinted into a side tunnel, her ictus trailing like a comet. Ethan clutched the crystal, feeling Lyra's fading pulse. A distant screech pierced the air, Zoran's drones closing in. Torin's betrayal had cracked their defenses, but what else had he told Vargas? The rebel tunnels roared with chaos, crystal walls trembling as Zoran's drones tore through the outer defenses. Ethan Kane clutched the star core crystal, its violet glow flickering like a dying ember. Lyra's pulse within it was barely a whisper, each faint beat a knife to his chest. The air stung with ozone and smoke, the cavern's crystalline chime now a frantic wail, drowned by the screech of metal claws scraping stone. Kyle Drobo stood at the hollow table, his metallic frame glinting, optics scanning red alerts. Rebels scrambled, their bioenergy weapons humming, faces taut with fear. Ethan's mask filtered the chaos, but his heart raced. Time was running out. "Hold the line," Kyle barked, his voice a thunderclap. His energy blade flared, casting sharp shadows. He turned to Ethan, optics narrowing. "You're with me, human. Don't slow us down." Ethan nodded, shoving the crystal into his pocket. Its warmth lingered, urging him forward. "Lyra's fading," he said, voice tight. "We need Mira now." The name felt like a lifeline. Mira, the Lumen Elder, knew the phalanx's secrets. A rebel staggered in, armor blackened. "They're through the east tunnel," he gasped, blood streaking his face. The hollow table flickered, showing drones swarming, their red optics like a plague. Xythera burst from a side passage, her glowing patterns pulsing erratically. Behind her, an older woman followed. Mira, her silver hair woven with bioenergy filaments, eyes sharp as cut crystal. "Mira," Kale said, relief flashing in his optics. "The phalanx. Can we reach it?" Mira's gaze swept the cavern, landing on Ethan. "You carry her light," she said, voice low, resonant like a hymn. She stepped closer, her fingers brushing the air near the star core crystal. "Lyra's hacking the soul forge, but it's killing her. The phalanx is a fortress of death." Ethan's stomach twisted. "Then we go," he said, voice steady despite the dread. "Tell me how." Mira's eyes darkened. "Lyra hid the truth," she said, her tone heavy. "The soul forge wasn't just Zoran's weapon. Sarath built it to fight the eternal void, a shadow that devours worlds. But it's flawed, corrupt. Lyra fears it's woken the void already." Kale's blade dimmed, his optics flickering. "Vargas knew," he muttered, voice raw. "I helped him build it, Mira. I thought we'd save Xythera. His metallic hand clenched, a faint creak breaking the silence. I was wrong. Ethan's pulse spiked. You built the soul forge. He stepped toward Kale, anger flaring. And now Lyra's paying for it. Kale's optics blazed. I fight to fix it, human. He turned away, shoulders tense. Mira. The path. Mira pointed to the hollow table, tracing a tunnel to the phalanx. A spire of black metal under the spiral stars. A hidden route, she said. But Zoran guards. Varkas knows you're coming. A deafening screech cut her off. The cavern shook, crystal shards raining down. Drones burst through the ceiling, their blades spinning, optics locking onto Ethan. Zinnia's patterns flared, her ictus weaving a dazzling shield of light. Go, she shouted, shoving Ethan toward a tunnel. I'll hold them. Kyle grabbed Ethan's arm, dragging him forward. Move, Kane. His blades slashed a drone, sparks flying, metal shrieking. Mira followed, her filaments glowing, guiding them through the dark. The tunnel narrowed, its walls pulsing with bioenergy, their hum a desperate plea. Ethan's hand brushed the crystal, feeling Lyra's signal. Weak, erratic. Hold on, he thought, his jaw tight. Mira's words echoed. The voids awake. A low growl rumbled ahead, Zoran's forces closing in. Kale's optics flickered, his voice low. I failed my brother once. Not again. He handed Ethan his spare blade, its grip warm. End this, human. Ethan took it, the blade humming in his hand. The tunnel opened to a cliff, the phalanx looming below, a fortress of twisted metal, pulsing with stolen souls. Varkas's voice boomed from the darkness, cold and final. You bring your father's failure, human. What had Ethan's father done, and what waited in the phalanx? The phalanx loomed below, a jagged spire of black metal piercing Xythera's neon sky. Its surface pulsed with stolen bioenergy, veins of violet light throbbing like a diseased heart. Ethan Kane gripped Kale's energy blade, its hum steady and his hand, the Starcore crystal warm against his chest. Lyra's signal flickered within it, a fading pulse that drove him forward. Beside him, Zinnia's glowing patterns cast fleeting shadows, her amber eyes scanning the cliff's edge. Mira, the Lumen Elder, trailed behind, her silver hair shimmering, filaments glowing faintly. The air crackled with ozone, the distant screech of Zoran's drones echoing from the tunnels. Varkas's voice lingered in Ethan's mind, cold and taunting. You bring your father's failure. We're exposed here, Zinnia whispered, her voice sharp, like a blade cutting fog. She raised a hand, weaving an ictus of light to cloak them in a shimmering haze. The phalanx is a maze. Stay close, Ethan nodded, his breath steady despite the fear gnawing at him. The spiral stars swirled above, their violet glow casting the spire in stark relief. Lyra's inside, he said, voice low. I feel her. The crystal pulsed, a weak but stubborn beat. Mira's eyes met his, sharp as crystal. She's fighting the soul forge, she said, her tone heavy like a prayer unspoken. But every hack drains her bioenergy. Hurry, human. Her filaments flared, pointing to a hidden hatch below, etched with lumen runes. Kale's absence weighed on Ethan, a wound still fresh. The rebels' sacrifice had bought them this chance. Ethan tightened his grip on the blade. Let's move. They descended, Zinnia's ictus bending light around them, their steps muffled on the glowing moss. The hatch hissed open, revealing a corridor of polished obsidian, its walls throbbing with bioenergy veins. Red optics blinked in the distance, Zoran's robotic sentries, their claws scraping stone. Ethan's pulse spiked, the blades hummed syncing with his nerves. Zinnia led, her patterns dimming to avoid detection. Laugh tunnel, she murmured, dodging a sentry's scan. The corridor twisted, splitting into a labyrinth of metal and crystal. Hollow screens flickered, showing the soul forge's core, a spire of light fed by swirling souls. Ethan's stomach churned. Lyra was there, somewhere, tearing it apart. Mira paused, her filaments tracing a rune on the wall. The lumen call the Starcore crystal the heart of stars, she said, voice soft but urgent. It channels bioenergy through will. Lyra's using hers to unravel the soul forge, but it's breaking her. Ethan's hand brushed the crystal, feeling Lyra's struggle, defiance, pain, fading hope. How do I help her? he asked, voice tight. Your ship's core, Mira said. It's a hybrid, like the Soul Forge. Sync it with her crystal, and you might stop it. A metallic screech cut her off. A sentry lunged, claws flashing. Zinnia's ictus flared, blinding it, but more optics lit the corridor. They know we're here, she hissed, her patterns blazing. She shoved Ethan forward. Find Lyra. Ethan sprinted, blade raised, Mira at his side. The corridor opened to a vast chamber, the Soul Forge's heart pulsing above. A storm of violet light, souls, screaming within. Lyra lay slumped against a console, her silver skin pale, her hands trembling over a hollow panel. She was hacking, lines of code flickering, but her eyes fluttered, barely open. Lyra! Ethan shouted, rushing to her. She stirred, plasma blue, eyes meeting his, weak but fierce. Ethan. Her voice was a rasp, raw with effort. The crystal, use it. Before he could act, a shadow loomed. Vargas emerged, his purple skin glinting, gravity warping around him. His eyes burned, locked on Ethan. You're too late, he growled, voice like a collapsing star. The eternal void stirred when your core landed. The Soul Forge is its gate. Ethan's heart lurched. He raised the blade, the crystal flaring in his pocket. Zinnia's shout echoed. Mira was cornered, sentries closing in. Lyra's hand gripped his, her touch cold. Now, Ethan, the Soul Forge roared, light fracturing. The chamber, watered Ethan's core unleashed. The Soul Forge's heart roared, a vortex of violet light swirling with trapped souls, their screams echoing in the Phalanx's chamber. Ethan Kane knelt beside Lyra Vera, her silver skin ghostly pale, her plasma blue eyes flickering with fading defiance. The Starcore crystal pulsed in his pocket, its warmth a faint tether to her life. Her trembling hand gripped his, cold as the obsidian floor. Across the chamber, Zinnia's ictus flared, her glowing patterns weaving a desperate shield against Zoran's sentries. Mira, the Lumen Elder, stood cornered, her filaments dimming as claws closed in. Vargas loomed before Ethan, his purple skin glinting, gravity bending the air around him. The chamber hummed, heavy with ozone and the metallic tying of blood. Lyra, hold on, Ethan whispered, his voice tight, blade humming in his other hand. Her console flickered, lines of code unraveling the Soul Forge's core, but each keystroke seemed to steal her breath. She coughed, a weak smile breaking through. I hid the truth, Ethan, she rasped, her accent sharp despite the strain. The Soul Forge. Sarath built it to cage the eternal void. Zoran twisted it, but I can stop it. Her eyes met his, fierce. Use the crystal, sync it with your core. Ethan's pulse raced. He fumbled for the Starcore crystal, its violet light pulsing erratically. Vargas's laugh rumbled, low and seismic, warping the air. Foolish princess, he said, his voice a crushing weight. The void speaks through your NASA, through me. You've only opened its door. He raised a hand, gravity pinning Ethan's boots to the floor. Zinnia's shout cut through. Ethan, now. Her ictus exploded, a blinding cascade of light that shattered 2 sentries. Sparks rained, metal screeching, but more drones surged, their optics locking onto her. Mira's filaments flared, a final rune glowing on the wall, slowing the machines. Ethan's mind flashed to his father's log. The spiral lights hide a gift. The bioenergy core in his ship, a hybrid of human and Seraph tech, was the key. He tore open his suit, pulling a portable link to the core, its green veins throbbing. Lyra, tell me how, he said, voice urgent. Her fingers brushed the console, code streaming faster. Link the crystal to the core, she gasped. It'll overload the Soul Forge. But it'll take everything. Her eyes flickered, pain etching her face. Vargas stepped closer, gravity crushing Ethan's chest. You can't stop it, he snarled. I've seen the void, darkness that spares no world. The Soul Forge is Xythera's shield. His eyes softened, a crack in his resolve. Zinnia, you knew this. Zinnia's patterns faltered, her voice breaking. You chose death over us, Vargas. She lunged, her ictus weaving a spear of light, but Vargas's gravity swatted it aside. She stumbled, sentries closing in. Mira's voice rang out, calm amid the chaos. Heart of stars, guide them. She slammed her palm against the rune, and a pulse of bioenergy surged, freezing the drones. Her filaments dimmed, her body slumping. Ethan jammed the crystal into the link, its light merging with the core's green glow. The console sparked, code spiraling wildly. Lyra's hand tightened on his. Now, she whispered. The soul forge shuddered, its vortex fracturing. Ethan's core roared, channeling bioenergy through the crystal, a torrent of light and heat. Varkas roared, gravity lashing out. But Zinnia dove forward, her ictus wrapping Ethan and Lyra in a final shield. Live, she cried, her patterns blazing, then fading as sentries overwhelmed her. The chamber erupted, violet light swallowing Varkas's scream. The Soulforge's core cracked, souls streaming free, their hum a fleeting hymn. Lyra slumped, unconscious, her hand slipping from Ethan's. Ethan caught her, the crystal shattering in the link, its fragments dark. The phalanx groaned, metal, twisting. As the vortex collapsed, Mira lay still, her sacrifice sealing the drone's end. A low hum stirred the air, a ship's engine, alien and vast. Ethan's eyes lifted, catching a glint beyond the chamber's shattered roof. Sarathan, come. What did they want with Lyra's broken light? The phalanx's chamber lay in ruins, its obsidian walls cracked, bioenergy veins flickering like dying stars. Ethan Kane cradled Lyra Vera, her silver skin cold, her chest barely rising. The shattered star core crystal lay scattered, its violet light gone, leaving only silence where her pulse once thrummed. Above, the spiral stars swirled through the broken roof, casting a ghostly glow over the wreckage. The Soulforge's heart was dead, its vortex of souls dissolved, but the air buzzed with a new hum, a low, alien drone that set Ethan's teeth on edge. Ozone and ash stung his nose, the mask useless now. Zinnia's sacrifice lingered, her final ictus etched in his mind. Lyra, stay with me, Ethan whispered, his voice raw, hands trembling as he checked her pulse. Her plasma blue eyes were closed, her face serene despite the chaos. The console beside her sparked, its code frozen, a testament to her fight. A shadow moved beyond the rubble. Ethan's grip tightened on Kale's blade, its hum faint but steady. He stood, shielding Lyra, as a figure emerged. Mira's body, lifeless, her filaments dark. Grief hit him, sharp and heavy. She'd given everything to stop the drones. The hum grew louder, vibrating the floor. Ethan's eyes snapped to the roof, where a massive ship loomed, its hull shimmering with Sarath runes. Angular, sleek, it hovered, like a predator, its engines a deep growl that shook the chamber. A voice echoed, cold and resonant, not human. Ethan Kane, bearer of the heart of stars. Ethan's heart lurched. Who's there? He shouted, blade raised. The ship's runes pulsed, casting beams of white light that burned his eyes. His father's words flashed. The spiral lights hide a gift. Was this it? Lyra stirred, a faint groan escaping her lips. Ethan knelt, relief flooding him. Lyra, I'm here, he said, voice soft. Her eyes fluttered open, weak but fierce. The void, she rasped, her accent thick with strain. It's awake, Ethan. The Soulforge. It was a lock, not a weapon. Her hand clutched his, cold but firm. Sarath, no. Before Ethan could process, the chamber shook, metal groaning as the phalanx buckled. A hollow screen flickered on the console, NASA's emblem glitching. A distorted voice barked, Kane, you've unleashed the eternal void. You're no longer ours. The signal caught, leaving static, a hiss like laughter. Ethan's blood ran cold. NASA, manipulated by the void, had branded him a traitor. He glanced at Lyra, her eyes pleading. Your core, she said. It broke the Soulforge, but opened a gate. The Serath ship descended, its light blinding. A ramp extended and a figure appeared, tall, ethereal, with skin like liquid starlight. Its voice vibrated, layered, ancient. The void stirs human. Your father's gift, his core, shattered its prison. Ethan's jaw tightened. My father. He stepped forward, blade humming. What do you know about him? The Serath tilted its head, runes glowing. He forged the heart of stars to bind the void. You carry his will. It gestured to Lyra. She carries its light. Lyra pushed herself up, swaying, her voice fierce. The void's not just a shadow. It's alive, manipulating Zoran, NASA, everything. She gripped Ethan's arm. We can't let it win. The phalanx groaned, collapsing inward. Ethan pulled Lyra close, dodging falling debris. The Seraph's ship hummed, its ramp open. Come, it said. Or the void claims all. Ethan's eyes locked on Lyra's, her resolve mirroring his. The blade hummed, a final defiance. Above, the spiral stars pulsed, as if watching. A dark shape flickered in the hollow screen's static, a formless mass swallowing light. The void was here. What had Ethan's father hidden? And could they outrun the dark? The phalanx's ruins trembled, shards of obsidian clattering as the Seraph ship's engines roared. A deep hum that shook Ethan Kane's bones. He held Lyra close, her silver skin cool against his arm, her breathing shallow but steady. The spiral stars blazed above, their violet swirls casting jagged light over the wreckage. The air stung with ash and ozone. The faint chime of Xythera's crystals, now a mournful whisper. The Starcore crystal's fragments lay scattered, their glow gone, but Lyra's pulse anchored Ethan. The Seraph figure stood on the ship's ramp, its starlight skin shimmering, runes pulsing with ancient intent. A hollow screen flickered nearby, NASA's static hissing. A dark shape lurking within. The eternal void, watching. We have to move, Ethan said, his voice low, steady despite the chaos. He helped Lyra stand, her plasma blue eyes fierce, though her body swayed. Kale's blade hung heavy at his side, its hum silent now. Lyra gripped his hand, her accent sharp with urgency. The void's alive, Ethan, she said, voice raw. It used the soul forge, Zoran. Your NASA. All pawns. She glanced at the Seraph, her jaw tight. They know more than they say. The Seraph's voice vibrated, layered like a chorus. The void is a mind human. It weaves through signals, minds, worlds. It stepped closer, runes flaring. Your father bound it with the heart of stars. You broke that seal. Ethan's chest tightened, his father's log echoing. The spiral lights hide a gift. What gift? He demanded, stepping toward the Seraph. What did he leave me? The Seraph gestured to the ruins, where faint bioenergy veins pulsed. In the debris, a network, it said. Crystals hidden across Xythera, built to cage the void. You carry their key. It pointed to Ethan's data chip, his father's initials glinting. Lyra's eyes widened. A grid, she whispered, her scientist's mind racing. If we activate it, she trailed off, wincing, her strength fading. The phalanx groaned, metal twisting, ready to collapse. Ethan's pulse spiked. Can you help her? He asked the Seraph, his voice edged with desperation. The Seraph tilted its head. Her bioenergy is spent, but the lumen endure. It turned to the ramp, where figures emerged, lumen survivors, their skin dappled with glowing runes, led by a young woman with Mira's sharp eyes. Talia, our new elder, the Seraph said. She will guide. Talia stepped forward, her voice clear like a bell in fog. Lyra's our heart, she said, kneeling beside her. The lumen worship the spiral stars to guard against the void. We'll fight with you. Her runes pulsed, a vow sealed in light. Ethan's gaze flicked to the holoscreen, the void shadows stirring in the static. NASA called me a traitor, he said, voice bitter. Earth's not my home anymore. He looked at Lyra, her eyes meeting his, a silent pact. We'll rebuild, Lyra said, her hand squeezing his. Together. Her voice was weak, but her will burned bright. Talia stood, her runes flaring. The void signals infected your world, human. We'll trace them, end this. She gestured to the Seraph ship, its engines humming. Ethan nodded, lifting Lyra gently. Let's go, he said, his voice firm, a new purpose settling in his chest. The lumen flanked them, their weapons glowing. A nascent alliance forged in loss. The Seraph ship's ramp closed, its hull shimmering as it rose. The phalanx collapsed below, a final groan of defeat. Ethan held Lyra close, the data chip warm in his pocket. His father's gift, a network to fight the void, lay waiting, Above, the spiral stars pulsed, a beacon in the dark. A faint signal crackled from the chip, his father's voice a ghost. "Protect the light, Ethan." The void shadow loomed, its hunger endless. What waited beyond the stars?